Hello, radiant Leo soul. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, where the universe speaks through stars, spirit, and sacred synchronicities. Let me ask you this. What if what's coming for you has never happened to anyone before? Not in this exact way. Not in this exact moment. Not with the same magnitude. If you found this video, it's not by chance. It's a divine alignment. A moment chosen not by the algorithm, but by the vibration of your soul calling something deeper into your life. Because right now, something extraordinary is unfolding, a breakthrough that has been written into your destiny, waiting for you to awaken to it. Whether you've been feeling lost, stuck, invisible, or quietly powerful beneath the surface, this message is a mirror, a map, and above all, a confirmation that you're not here to blend in. You're here to break through. And you're not walking alone. Because behind the scenes, God has been clearing the path in front of you, straight, illuminated, and purposeful. In your career, your relationships, or your life's mission, the support you've been waiting for is already in motion. People, timing, and opportunities are aligning right now, not for you to chase, but to recognize and receive. The truth is, you don't need to fight harder. You need to listen deeper. This video isn't here to predict your life. It's here to remind you of the divine blueprint already written within you. Because Leo, the universe isn't asking you to become someone else. It's calling you to remember who you are. In the words of Buddhist wisdom, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Today, the teacher might just be this moment, your willingness to slow down and receive what's already yours. So I invite you, take a deep breath, and allow this space to be more than a forecast. Let it be a turning point. Let it be your permission to believe again, not just in fate, but in your part in shaping it. And before we continue, I want to take a moment to thank you, sincerely, for being here. Every like, every comment, every soul who joins this journey by subscribing to Eternal Mindfulness becomes part of a sacred ripple that spreads truth and healing across this digital universe. Your support fuels this channel, and your presence gives this message power. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And believe me, dear Leo, you'll want to stay with me until the final word of today's message, because what the universe is about to reveal is breathtaking. Now tell me, my loyal Leo souls, what energy pulled you here today? Was it curiosity? A whisper of destiny? Or something you still can't name, but feel deep in your chest? Drop an angel number below, any number you keep seeing, and let's begin this sacred conversation. You ready? Let's step into it, together. There is a kind of strength that doesn't announce itself with noise. It doesn't raise its voice, demand attention, or seek recognition. It simply holds, patiently, consistently, through uncertainty, through pain, and through long periods of silence. That is the kind of strength Leo is being asked to remember now. Not the fiery roar of your lion heart, but the soft, steady pulse beneath it. The part of you that knows how to endure without hardening, how to stay open without collapsing, and how to love yourself without condition, even when the world does not reflect that love back to you. The appearance of the Empress card is not just a message of comfort, it is a call to come home to yourself. She doesn't rule with force. She governs with grace. In her presence, healing becomes possible because she reminds you that gentleness is not weakness, it is wisdom. Just like the way the earth yields crops not through pressure, but through patience, nourishment, and light, you, too, are being asked to grow through allowing, not resisting. You've carried burdens for so long. You've been the strong one for others. Now, the invitation is clear: be soft enough to receive. It's easy to believe that progress only comes through effort, that you must always push forward, prove your worth, or perform strength in visible ways. But there is a deeper truth. When you allow yourself to soften, you create the space where real power can take root. Power that is not driven by ego, but aligned with truth. Sometimes the most transformative acts are the quietest: choosing peace over pride, choosing stillness over struggle, choosing self-respect over self-sacrifice. What's beautiful about this phase in your journey is that the universe is already rearranging pieces around you to reflect this inner shift. That chance encounter, that unexpected offer, or that inner nudge that keeps whispering the same thing, these aren't coincidences. They are responses to your readiness. They are the quiet gifts that appear when you stop bracing yourself and begin to trust again. What you perceive as delays may have been divine protection. What felt like rejection may have been redirection. The card of Temperance reinforces this sacred balance. Not everything needs to be forced. In fact, many things will align faster the moment you stop gripping so tightly. The peace you seek doesn't come from control, it comes from harmony. Harmony within yourself, between what you feel and what you allow, what you desire and what you receive. When you align those things, your external reality begins to reflect your inner grace. There's a saying that when water is still, it reflects the sky. In the same way, when your inner world finds stillness, clarity arrives. That clarity is what's being offered to you now, if you're willing to slow down enough to see it. You may have spent years living in reaction, but now you are learning to live in rhythm. And in that rhythm, you realize you no longer need to be exhausted to be effective. You no longer need to burn out to prove your passion. You don't need to explain your softness. It is not fragility, it is a form of knowing. A knowing that comes from listening, from watching, from sitting with the discomfort long enough to hear what it's truly saying. So take this time to journal with courage. Ask yourself, what have I silenced in me? And what am I finally ready to allow back in? That act alone, of asking, of listening, of not running, is a revolution. And you, Leo, are being guided through it not because you are broken, but because you are ready. Ready for a new kind of strength. Ready to be supported, not because you've proven enough, but simply because you are enough. When the Sun card appears, it doesn't just signal joy or success, it marks a sacred return to clarity. But clarity doesn't always arrive with celebration. Often, it comes quietly, after the storm has passed, when the ruins of what once was make room for what has always wanted to emerge. If you're in a place where you're still clearing the dust of what fell apart, know this: your light was never gone. It was simply waiting for the space to shine without obstruction. You don't need to prove anything anymore, not to others, not even to yourself. The most radiant truth is that light does not fight to exist. It simply exists. And so do you. When structures collapse, as symbolized by the Tower card, we instinctively assume something is wrong. But not all destruction is loss. Sometimes, it's liberation. What has fallen may have needed to fall, not because you failed, but because you outgrew it. Just like a tree that sheds old bark, you're shedding roles, identities, relationships, or dreams that no longer carry your evolving essence. It's not punishment. It's preparation. Preparation for a version of yourself that no longer survives by adapting to expectations, but lives by aligning with truth. There is a teaching that says, what you let go of was never truly yours if holding it meant losing yourself. That truth, though simple, can feel terrifying. We're conditioned to cling, to people, to titles, to ideas of who we think we're supposed to be. But when the universe removes something, it's often because we didn't dare put it down ourselves. And once it's gone, the silence it leaves behind becomes fertile ground for recognition, for remembering, for return. You may feel that everything has slowed, as though life is pausing before revealing its next chapter. But consider that the stillness isn't stagnation, it's integration. Like a field lying fallow before a season of abundance, your spirit may be resting, but it is not idle. What appears empty is actually full of potential. The light hasn't disappeared. It's condensing, focusing, preparing to re-emerge from within you, not from the outside world. This is where your power now lives, not in the struggle to hold everything together, but in the willingness to let what no longer fits quietly fall away. The soft courage to say, this version of me is complete. I'm ready to begin again. And perhaps the greatest freedom comes not when life is perfect, but when you no longer need it to be. When you can sit in your own company, with your breath as your only companion, and still feel full. That is the light the sun card points to. The warmth that returns not because conditions have changed, but because you have. Because you've chosen to meet yourself where you are, not where others expected you to be. Try, just for a moment each day, to sit with that thought. Place your hand on your heart and speak gently to yourself, I am still worthy, even in the middle of healing. You don't need to rush the process. The light within you knows the way. Like the morning sun, it rises on its own time. You only need to make space. And when you do, you may be surprised at how much easier it feels to breathe. At how much more vibrant colors seem. At how effortless it becomes to move through life, not to chase light, but to be the light. Because the truth is, you never lost your way. You simply stopped recognizing yourself in the darkness. Now, the path has cleared. And what lies ahead is not just brighter, it's yours. There are moments in life when effort alone is no longer the answer. You've carried ambition like armor, fought for your place, and held steady even when the ground beneath you shifted. But now, something different is being asked of you. Not a sprint, not a battle, but a deeper kind of alignment. When the chariot and strength appear together, the message is not just about charging forward. It's about choosing direction from the heart, not the ego. It's a call to lead not from force, but from clarity. That clarity doesn't come from outside approval or comparison. It comes when you pause long enough to ask the one question that truly matters. Is this taking me closer to myself? This moment is not just about career or income. It's about legacy. About how you use your energy, your voice, your presence. There is a natural intelligence inside you that knows the way, like a compass that doesn't point north, but inward. You've likely felt it in subtle ways. A nudge when something doesn't feel right, a lightness when something aligns, a whisper of peace when you imagine a different future. These are not coincidences. They are the way your inner wisdom speaks. And if you're willing to trust that voice, it will guide you toward opportunities that not only grow your material world, but also strengthen your sense of purpose. Sometimes, we assume that success must be loud, fast, and constantly visible. But that belief often leads to burnout and disconnection. True success, the kind that fulfills rather than just impresses, tends to unfold more quietly. It emerges when your work aligns with your values, when your actions echo your truth, and when your path reflects who you really are, not who the world has told you to be. There's a principle that says, right action arises from stillness. When the mind settles, the right move becomes obvious, not through analysis, but through insight. This doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting from a place that is steady, present, and rooted in your deeper knowing. That's what the chariot truly symbolizes, not motion for motion's sake, but intentional movement based on what's real within you. And strength? It's not the kind that shouts. It's the kind that listens. The kind that says no when needed, and yes only when it means something. It's the power to remain soft in a hard world, to pursue goals without losing yourself in them. Strength is staying with the discomfort long enough to grow from it, rather than escape it. It's showing up each day with presence, knowing you are not here to prove anything, but to participate fully in your own becoming. Right now, you may feel as if you're standing at a threshold. There could be opportunities in front of you that seem uncertain. But uncertainty doesn't always mean danger. It can mean you're growing beyond what your past self could imagine. If something is calling you, not from fear or urgency, but from calm conviction, listen. Take one step. Then the next. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need to honor the direction that brings you closer to your truth. Sometimes the most radical decision is not to chase, but to allow. To allow the right work to find you. To allow the right people to support you. To allow your own timing to unfold, without rushing or resisting. When you do this, life starts to move differently. Not faster, but clearer. Not easier, but more meaningful. Because when your heart is the compass, every step becomes sacred. Every effort, aligned. And every result, a reflection of who you were always meant to be. Love, when it arrives in its truest form, doesn't demand that you change, shrink, or perform. It doesn't rush in with fireworks just to disappear in smoke. Instead, it often approaches quietly, like a reflection in still water, revealing not just the other, but also a deeper version of yourself. The Lover's card is not simply about romance or attraction. It is about alignment. About a meeting of energies that recognize each other not because of surface compatibility, but because of shared resonance. When someone looks at you and truly sees you, not who you've had to become, but who you've always been beneath the armor, you begin to soften in a way that feels like coming home. This stage of your journey calls for an honesty that is both tender and courageous. You may have hidden parts of yourself to be more acceptable, easier to love, or less intimidating. You may have played roles to feel safe, to avoid rejection, or to fit into someone else's idea of partnership. But real connection doesn't ask you to fragment yourself. It asks you to return to wholeness. It asks you to risk being seen, so that the love you receive is love that can truly nourish you. When you think about love, deep, enduring love, what is it that your soul longs for most? Not the checklist of accomplishments or appearances, but the subtle, sacred qualities that allow you to feel safe enough to open. When you write down, "I want to be understood, I want to be free inside love, I want to love without struggle," you're not asking for too much. You're asking for what has always been your birthright. You're asking for the kind of love that reflects the stillness within, not the noise outside. There's a wisdom that teaches, when two people meet at the right moment in their personal evolution, love doesn't feel like drama or chase. It feels like ease. It feels like, finally, you can exhale. But that ease only becomes possible when both individuals have come to know themselves enough not to fear the vulnerability that real intimacy requires. And you, Leo, are arriving at that place. You've done the inner work. You've walked through the loneliness, the disappointments, the confusion. And now, you're beginning to resonate with someone who doesn't want to fix you, but to witness you. This kind of connection doesn't always roar in with passion. Sometimes, it hums gently with presence. It may appear in a familiar face or a new one. It may not meet every expectation you've held, but it will meet your spirit. And you'll know, not because they say the right thing, but because when you're with them, you feel no need to hide. You may be guided now to forgive an old version of love, not because it didn't matter, but because it taught you what love is not. That release is necessary for something more honest to arrive. When you stop measuring yourself against past dynamics, you become open to a love that reflects your growth. A love that feels like sitting beside someone and knowing you don't have to perform. A love that hears the silence between your words and still chooses to stay. Let yourself receive it, not through effort or control, but through trust. Trust that the right people don't require you to bend. Trust that you are most magnetic when you are most yourself. And trust that if someone is meant to see you, they will find you in your stillness, not your striving. Connection begins the moment you allow yourself to be fully present, and in that presence, you become undeniable. The heart, both as an organ and as a symbol, is at the center of your vitality, your clarity, and your capacity to receive. When we speak of tending to your heart now, we're not only speaking of cardiovascular wellness, we're speaking of the emotional weight you've carried for too long. The tension in your chest isn't just physical, it's the accumulation of years of self-protection, of being strong for others, of holding things in when you really needed to breathe them out. This is the moment where your body asks for gentleness, not discipline. When you massage the area around your chest before you sleep or start your morning with warm water and citrus or cinnamon, it's not just a routine, it's a ritual of respect. A small act of returning to yourself. In energetic systems, the fire element governs the heart. But fire is not meant to rage unchecked. It thrives best when it's steady, fueled by intention. Too much heat and it burns, too little, and it flickers out. Your task now is to balance that inner flame, neither overexerting nor collapsing. This balance is especially important as your financial energy begins to shift. There's a reason why your sense of physical well-being and your relationship with money are showing up together. Both are tied to your sense of self-worth. Money isn't just currency, it's energy. And like all energy, it flows more freely when you're aligned with what feels true. You may have grown up believing that abundance must come with sacrifice, or that only through hustle can you earn what you need. But what if that's no longer your story? What if wealth, true, lasting wealth, is meant to come not through struggle, but through clarity? When you stop negotiating your worth and begin standing in it, you'll notice the flow return. Not as a reward for burnout, but as a reflection of the new frequency you've stepped into. Often, what blocks financial expansion isn't external, it's the inner script. The quiet beliefs that say, I shouldn't ask for too much, or I have to give more than I receive. This is the time to question those narratives, not with force, but with curiosity. A teaching reminds us that the moment we stop chasing is the moment life turns toward us. That doesn't mean passivity, it means presence. It means acting from stillness, receiving with humility, and letting go of control just enough to let abundance meet you halfway. You've been receiving signals in numbers, in colors, in the subtle nudges that try to catch your attention. When you notice the number 1, you're being called back to your essence, to lead, to begin anew. The sequence 11 is a gateway, a mirror, urging you to align your thoughts with a higher vision. Numbers like 18, 23, 33, and 44 carry layered meanings, reminding you that even when things seem scattered, there is a quiet harmony unfolding beneath it all. These numbers are not magic, but they are meaningful. They are echoes of the unseen alignment taking place all around you. And then there's color, an often overlooked language of energy. Coral, with its warmth, invites creativity and emotional openness. Gold, timeless and grounding, awakens the energy of value and confidence. Soft white, pure and reflective, encourages clarity and peace. Surround yourself with these tones. Let them influence your space, your choices, your attention. They are not trends, they are tools. Above all, speak kindly to yourself. Let this affirmation guide your days, especially when doubt returns. I welcome health and prosperity as sacred gifts along the path I am walking. Say it not to manifest harder, but to remind your system that you are safe to receive. That you no longer have to trade yourself away to be supported. That the body you live in, the work you do, the value you hold, it's all enough, exactly as it is. If you're still here with me now, it's because something inside you has already awakened. Not the part of you that's used to pushing, proving, or pleasing, but the quiet knowing within that recognizes truth when it hears it. This is not just about surviving another day, Leo. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to be anything else. And from this moment forward, you don't need to keep searching for the perfect path, the perfect sign, or the perfect version of yourself. The way has already been cleared. The direction is already glowing with light. All that's left is for you to trust your next step. You see, life doesn't require perfection. It asks for presence. And the universe doesn't reward those who pretend to be ready, it supports those who choose to be real. That means showing up with your doubts, your softness, your power, and your willingness to begin again. You're not being asked to carry the world. You're being asked to carry yourself with honesty and courage. And the beautiful thing is, you already know how. You've already been doing it, quietly, steadily, in ways the world may never fully see, but your soul remembers. So let me ask you this. What would shift in your life if, starting today, you allowed yourself to receive what has already been placed along your path? What opportunities would open if you released the pressure to get it perfect and focused instead on showing up in your truth? What new energy could enter if you stopped trying to earn love or success and instead claimed them as your natural state? You were never meant to shrink in order to fit. You were meant to rise, and not just once, but again and again. Every setback has been a setup for your next breakthrough. Every disappointment has cleared space for something deeper to enter. And every time you've questioned your worth, the universe has been whispering, "You are already enough. Come back to yourself." So here's a gentle invitation: take a breath, close your eyes, and affirm out loud if it feels right, "I now walk the sacred path already laid out for me." Let that be your declaration. Let it echo in your heart. Let it remind you that your timing is not late, your light is not small, and your journey is not random. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. And if this message resonated with you, if it touched even the smallest corner of your being, I invite you to let the universe know. Drop a comment below. Share the angel number that's been following you, or write a word that captures what you're stepping into. Speak it not just for yourself, but for someone else reading who might need that same courage. Thank you, truly, for your presence here today. Every like, every share, and every heartfelt comment is part of what keeps this space, Eternal Mindfulness, alive. It allows these messages to reach the people who need them most, in the exact moment they're ready. Your support isn't just appreciated, it's sacred. So stay connected to this journey. Subscribe if you haven't already. Come back when you need to remember. And above all, carry this truth with you: you don't need to wait for a miracle, because you, dear Leo, are the miracle. Now tell me, what part of you is ready to rise next?